All right guys, today we're checking out the dual motor Otida RX80. On first glance, this is a pretty large bike. You got the 26x4-inch fat tires. It might be hard to tell. The actual distance from the ground to the lowest part of the saddle is pretty high. I can already tell it's probably too high for me. My inseam is about 29 to 30 inches. The biggest feature on something like this is the dual motor setup. So obviously if you're going for a dual motor setup, you're probably in terrain that's probably hilly, or you're probably riding in some off-road surfaces. In terms of design, you do have the orange and kind of like sparkly gray, or dark gray, maybe black. That's actually a really interesting color. Definitely stands out in my opinion. And even though this bike is kind of in the affordable category, nothing about it actually looks budget. Anyway, let's just walk through all the features of the Otida RX80. First thing you'll notice are these 26x4-inch fat tires. You got the all-terrain tread over here, and you also have the mag style rims connected to the front hub motor. Now these motors are rated 1000 watts, so a total of 2000 watts with all-wheel drive. Got the integrated front fender, got the integrated 600 lumen front headlight, and you also have this front hydraulic suspension fork, XC suspension fork. So this should be more than enough depending on the type of terrain that you're riding in. You also have the compression adjustment here on the right and the preload adjustment on the left side. We have these hydraulic disc brakes. I believe these are 2-piston hydraulic disc brakes. And then up top we have the ergonomic rubber grip, got the light control, the horn, display controls over here. And this is actually interesting because you do have a headlight control on the right side and another headlight control. So this is the actual button that controls the headlight, and this headlight control controls the dimness of the center mounted LCD display. This I button over here is actually what controls the drive mode. So if you hold down the I button, you go into front wheel drive, hold it again, all wheel drive, press it again, and you are on park mode. So when both wheels are not highlighted, that means that you cannot actually move the bike. Throttle doesn't work, disengaged. And I really like how this display looks, really bright even in the bright sunlight. Got the multicolor strip over here for the battery level, and nothing about it feels cluttered. And yeah, just a really good design. Got the 7-speed Shimano shifter and a right hand half twist throttle. Here we have the pretty comfortable saddle seat, lots of cushion. Now this also has an integrated taillight, which is battery operated. So you press that button over there for flashing, press it again, and you got the solid lights. One thing you have to remember for these battery operated saddle seats is that if you don't turn it off, it's just gonna run out of battery, right? It's not hardwired into the actual bike. So just keep that in mind. There's also some springs over here, maybe for some additional cushion. And in terms of power, we have a 48 volt, 20 amp hour removable battery. Keep in mind that if you are riding in all-wheel drive mode, you're gonna kill the battery much faster than if you were riding in single drive mode, either front or rear. And because the bike is pretty heavy with the dual motors, it will also affect the battery life as well. Now on the website it does say 80 miles of range, but I think that is kind of ambitious. I'd most likely say it's half that, in real world riding, depending on your weight, your terrain, and your power level. Here in the middle is the rear monoshock, and don't recognize the brand, but it looks to be pretty decent, and probably something that you could easily upgrade if you wanted to. We've always had good experiences when the rear shock is designed like this. As we work our way to the rear of the bike, you have the integrated rear fender. Here's a look at the hydraulic disc brakes in the rear, 180 millimeter rotor, and again, the mag style wheel connected to the 1000 watt motor. Another cool feature is this integrated rear rack. So plenty of room to add a milk crate to load up this bike with lots of cargo. You also have a reflector. This is not actually a light. And then here's a look at the rear derailleur. And the total weight of this bike is 97 pounds. Now that we've gone over all the features of the Otida RX80, let's take it out for its first ride. Okay, first ride with the Otida RX80 dual motor fat tire electric bike. Guys, this is a big bike. This is probably a little too big for me, even though on the specs it says that it is recommended for riders 5'6" to 6'4". I am about 5'5", but my inseam is only about 29-30 inches. So keep that in mind. If you're a taller rider, this is probably more appropriate. So I'm not going to try to flat foot this bike. We'll get right into it. There's rear wheel drive, there's front wheel drive, and there's all-wheel drive, right? There's also a mode where there's no motors activated, so you can put it in, I guess that's park mode, right? We're gonna start on rear wheel drive, pedal assist 1, no throttle, Since it's no throttle, I'm just gonna have to pedal right into it. Here we go. Ugh. Okay. Wow. Okay, the cadence sensor kicks right in. I could definitely feel the weight of this bike. I believe this is like 97 pounds or something, 98 pounds. But very similar to other dual motor bikes that we've tried in the past. I mean, you feel that weight, right? You feel it for sure. So, so it feels like the controller is tuned to really just push all the volts into the motor, right? Just to keep this thing balanced. We'll bump it up to pedal assist level 3, still rear wheel drive, still no throttle. And already hitting 13 miles per hour with just like 3 revolutions of pedaling. And I've already covered, you know, like a lot of ground here in the parking lot just with that kind of pedaling. So yeah, so you know, this is more of a bike where you're covering lots of ground, right? Big wheels, big tires. So you know, you're taking up a lot of space when you're maneuvering. But if you have a lot of open ground, then it's kind of perfect for that. All right, pedal assist level 5, still no throttle. I feel like there's not a ton of variation between 3 and 5. It takes a little bit to kick in with a single motor in the back here. Okay, let's do front wheel drive now. Okay, front wheel drive. And a little more sluggish, right? That front motor is just trying to pull all the weight. So it takes a little bit more pedaling to get up to speed. But once you get going, no problem. And I think this is really for, I think, inclines where you want that front wheel drive to pull you up an incline. Okay. Still on pedal assist level 5. Now let's do all-wheel drive. No throttle. Oh wow, okay. So so a little bit of a delay for the cadence sensors to like sync up and like move together in tandem, but once it goes, there, boom, it goes. Yeah, tons of power. Still no throttle, just pedaling. I mean, and it's kind of loud. I mean, you hear those dual motors working in tandem. Let's give it a little throttle here. Okay, a little bit of a delay in the throttle. 1, 2, 3, and that's when it 1, 2, 3 kind of, you know, you feel these motors working together, and it's just a little bit trickier when you're using pedal assist and throttle for a dual motor system. You kind of have to choose one or the other somewhat. Well, you get the hang of it eventually. It's really, you know, if you're going full speed, that really doesn't matter. But if you're doing a lot of start and stop in the city, a lot of like, you know, intersections and lights, you're going to want to probably choose either just throttling or just pedal assist. But yeah, I guess we'll test the brakes out. All right, full throttle, full pedal. 17, 20, 5. Okay. Yeah, the hydraulic disc brakes, I mean, it stopped the bike. It locks the wheels up, but the weight of those motors, right, it just kind of like, you need a lot of room. So we are on all-wheel drive mode, pedal assist level 5, and just like tons of power on this dual motor setup. I've never heard of the Otida brand before, but it looks like they have some pretty decent bikes in their lineup, and this is for sure the one that kind of caught my eye. I'm always interested in trying dual motor setups and just like Yeah, I mean, if you've never tried a dual motor e-bike before, it's a lot of power and really good for hill climbing, which we'll try in a second. So I'm just kind of maneuvering in this parking lot, you know, big beefy 26-inch tires. Okay, full pedal assist mode, and we will go up this hill and power through it. Oh. And up and over, no problem. And over the grass, and yeah, I mean, super comfortable. I think the suspension is maybe a little bit stiff for my weight, but it handles it pretty well. I mean, I was standing. The front shocks are for sure like really comfortable, really absorbing some of those bumps. Rear shock, it was okay, but you know, you could kind of get used to that. You could also replace it, I think. All right, so going up the hill here, and no problem. Really easy to conquer the terrain. Go back down. Woo! 20 miles per hour. 21, 22, 25, 27, 28. Maxing out at 28 miles per hour. Swing back around here. Yeah. Very cool. Very satisfied with the performance of the Otida RX80. Man, nothing like a dual motor e-bike to get the blood flowing. So much fun. Okay, first impressions with the Otida RX80. I think it's one of the more interesting dual motor fat tire e-bikes we've tried in a while. It's a really decently built bike. I think the tune is okay. You know, it's kind of the nature of dual motor setups, right? You're sort of compromising, I guess, that smooth pedal assist depending on the drive mode that you're in. Most of us are used to just the rear wheel kind of pushing you. So it takes a little bit to get used to the all-wheel drive motion, and then front wheel drive, a little sluggish, you know, but it's really when you're climbing up hills. It's not something I really would use often. All-wheel drive for sure, and also, you know, you got to remember this is a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. So when you're using both motors in tandem, it's going to kill the battery, right? You're going to decrease the range, but you'll get more power. But being able to choose between those three modes is kind of cool, but you're also carrying a lot of weight with this front motor. Riding this off-road primarily, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. Is it a good street commuter bike? Possibly. Kind of depends on where you live. To me, a little bit overkill for like the bike paths. If you are a tall rider, if you're over 6 feet, then you probably want something like this because you probably weigh a little more than the average, and you want that power to kind of carry you to where you need to go. So I think overall, it's a pretty decent option for dual motor setups.
So let's recap the specs. The RX80 is a dual motor, all-terrain fat tire e-bike with a step-over aluminum alloy frame. It features an integrated 600 lumen headlight and a battery-operated taillight on the seat for added visibility. The center-mounted color LCD display is easy to read while riding, while the rear rack adds utility for hauling gear. Weighing in at 97 pounds, this bike is heavy but feels solid and ideal for hilly terrain. It also features two 1,000-watt hub motors paired with a 48-volt, 20 amp hour removable battery. With 5 pedal assist levels, a 7-speed shifter, and rear, front, or all-wheel drive, it's easy to dial in how you like to ride. The bike is equipped with hydraulic disc brakes, a front hydraulic fork, and a rear shock for comfort. Combined with 26x4-inch all-terrain fat tires, it's an ideal setup for off-road rides.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. I skipped a gear right there. I hit the shifter too fast. But yeah, that's top speed right there. Dang, that got there quick. Throttle only, 3, 2, 1. God, am I tired.
It should be pretty interesting. It is a heavy bike. It has big wheels and they recommend riders from 5'6" to 6'4". I'm about 5'10", and I can touch the ground with the saddle up a little bit, but you'll probably need to raise it up a little bit more to get the proper riding geometry. Starting off, pedal assist 1, rear motor only. And I'm going to use a little bit of the throttle to help me off, because starting the bike off requires quite a push. The pedal assist does come on pretty strong once you get rolling. It starts off soft and then comes on higher. And it takes you up to top speed of about 14 miles an hour. And it's a decent speed. This feels like a comfortable speed if you're riding trails or on sidewalks. However, if you're in a group ride, most of those go a little bit slower, so you're going to be stopping and starting a lot. And in those situations, it'd be better just to use the throttle. The throttle takeoff is smoother than the pedal assist, and the programming feels pretty good so far. I'm going to take it up to pedal assist level 3. And it's fairly strong, even with just the rear motor. It should be noted that the throttle is tied to the PAS level. So if you get 14 miles an hour with the pedal assist, you also get 14 miles an hour with just the throttle. Right now I'm going full throttle and slowly picking up speed, 15, 16, 17 before I get to the turn here. So we covered PAS 1 and PAS 3, we're just going to bump it up to PAS 5. The takeoff on that is a little bit sudden, but it's not too bad. I'm hitting about 17 miles an hour before I have to slow down for these turns. And I can't see anyone using PAS 5 and actually pedaling while commuting or anything, but for the open road, it may be okay. I'm now going to change to front wheel drive, and there's not much difference in the performance. It does feel a little bit different because you're being pulled by the front wheel, but that's about the only notable difference. I'm going to go to all-wheel drive now. There's dual motors, and this is PAS 5. And on the pedal assist, it is really strong as far as taking off. It's much smoother if you go with the throttle. Well, maybe not. The throttle seems a bit abrupt at this PAS level too. Now we're going to try a little off-roading here. And I'm going to give a little run up to this hill. Full throttle, all-wheel drive, straight up. No help from me, and it did it. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. It is a bit wet here, so that was pretty good. I like that. It should be noted that when you are using the pedal assist, that There is a delay as far as the motor turning off. For example, if you're crossing a parking lot and you stop pedaling, you will cover 2 spaces with the motor still going strong. Dual suspension seems to be working pretty good. And the extra diameter of the tires, that helps out quite a bit as far as handling the bumps and surface irregularities. Make a right-hand turn here. It feels pretty zippy in this mode. And this would probably be the fun mode that you'd want to use when, out with friends and so forth. Probably not recommended for sidewalks. First impressions are, it's big, but that's kind of obvious. The pedal assist programming, the only one that would be really useful around the neighborhood and so forth would be PAS1. And even that, you have no choice. It goes 13, 14 miles an hour when you're pedaling and then drops off to 0. The total power is nice, as you saw from us climbing that hill up there. Went all the way up, and I didn't take it at an angle. I went straight up without me pedaling or helping at all. So that was impressive. I like that. Suspension works pretty good. The back is a little bit stiff, but I'm sure this part is upgradable. Overall, it seems to be a very well-built bike, but it is for persons with an extended inseam. And you just have to keep that in mind. This is also a heavy bike, so if you live in an apartment, you probably want to look for something a little bit more compact.
So here's what we like. The RX80 stands out for its dual motor setup, giving it the torque to handle steep inclines and tough terrain with ease. The integrated rear rack adds a layer of utility for hauling gear, and for a dual motor e-bike, it's surprisingly affordable. But here's some things to consider. Its larger size and 97-pound frame might be tough to manage indoors or when transporting. It's also better suited for taller riders. And while the suspension does the job, a more refined rear shock would have taken comfort up a notch. Overall, the RX80 is a decent contender in the affordable dual motor e-bike category. It's well suited for riders who want impressive power and torque for exploring. Although it could benefit from a better rear shock and a more calibrated tune, it's hard to beat the value this bike offers at its price point.